Let me ask you something. Did this year knock you down? Did it humble you, frustrate you, maybe even make you question yourself? Good. Because that pain you're feeling right now isn't the end, it's the signal. It's proof you expected more from yourself. And here's the truth most people miss. It's not how the year went that matters, it's how you finish. You don't need 12 perfect months to win. You need one powerful decision, one shift in focus, one final push that changes how you see yourself forever. This is not the year that broke you, this is the year that built you. Let me talk to you about failure for a moment. Because if you're sitting here thinking, this year didn't go the way I planned, you are not broken, you're not behind, and you're definitely not done. What most people call failure isn't failure at all. It's feedback, and feedback is only painful when you misinterpret it. Think about it. If failure were final, no one would ever grow. No one would ever build anything meaningful. Every breakthrough you admire, every comeback story that fires you up, every person you look at and think, how did they do that? They didn't avoid failure. They learned how to use it. They learned how to listen to it instead of letting it define them. Right now, many of you are carrying the weight of this year like it's a verdict, like the calendar is judging you, like these last 12 months are a report card on your worth. That's not how life works. Life isn't a courtroom, it's a classroom. And every setback you faced was trying to teach you something specific about your strategy, your standards, your habits, your focus, your energy, not about your value. You don't lose when something doesn't work. You only lose when you decide it means something about who you are. That's the trap. That's where people give up, not because they failed, but because they personalized the failure. They said, I failed, so I must be a failure. And the moment you say that, your energy drops, your vision shrinks, and your future starts to look smaller than it really is. Let me ask you something. Has anything in your life ever worked perfectly the first time? Of course not. You adjusted, you learned, you refined, you grew. And yet somehow, when it comes to our biggest goals, we expect perfection or we punish ourselves. That makes no sense. Progress has always been messy. Growth has always been uncomfortable. That discomfort you felt this year, that wasn't proof you were off track. It was proof you were stretching. Failure is simply life saying, that approach didn't work. Try again with more intelligence. That's it. No drama, no shame, just information. But information is only power if you're willing to look at it honestly, not emotionally, not defensively. Honestly, if something didn't work this year, don't ask what's wrong with me. Ask what specifically didn't work. Was it your strategy, your environment, your consistency, your standards, your focus, your emotional state? When you ask better questions, you get better answers, and better answers lead to better results. Here's the truth most people avoid. Failure hurts because expectations were high, and that's a good thing. Pain means you cared. Pain means you reached. Pain means you wanted more. The real tragedy isn't falling short. It's never aiming high enough to feel the fall. Don't numb that pain. Use it. Let it sharpen you instead of shrinking you. When you change the meaning of failure, you change your emotional state. When you change your emotional state, your behavior changes. Suddenly, instead of avoiding action, you lean in. Instead of procrastinating, you get curious. Instead of quitting, you adjust. Momentum comes back, not because circumstances changed, but because interpretation did. Right now, the most powerful thing you can do is separate who you are from what happened. What happened is an event. Who you are is a force. Events come and go. Forces shape the future. You are not your worst day. You are not your missed opportunity. You are not the thing that didn't work. You are the one who gets to decide what happens next. And here's what's exciting. Feedback arrives fastest when you're close to a breakthrough. When you're comfortable, life stays quiet. When you're growing, life gets loud. Problems show up. Resistance shows up. Doubt shows up. Not to stop you, but to refine you. That's how strength is built. That's how clarity is formed. If this year challenged you, good. It means you weren't playing small. If it humbled you, good. It means your ego made room for wisdom. If it forced you to slow down, reevaluate, and question your direction, good. That pause may be the pivot that changes everything. Don't rush to label this year as a loss. Some seasons don't give you rewards. They give you roots. And roots matter more than fruits because fruits come and go, but roots determine how high you can grow next. So take the lessons, take them fully, write them down, own them, and then let go of the emotional baggage attached to them. You don't need to carry guilt into the next chapter. You don't need to carry regret into tomorrow. You only need to carry insight. Because once you extract the lesson, the failure has done its job. Holding on to it after that is optional and unnecessary. This isn't the end of your story. This is the part where you get smarter, stronger, and more dangerous in the best way possible. And if you use what this year taught you instead of letting it weigh you down, you won't just recover, you'll rise. This year didn't break you. It trained you. Let's talk about decision, because nothing changes until a decision is made, and most people don't realize how powerful that moment really is. They think change starts with motivation, with confidence, with clarity, with the perfect plan. It doesn't. It starts with a decision, a real one, the kind that draws a line in the sand and says, this stops here. Right now, some of you are waiting for this year to feel different before you act differently. You're waiting for energy, for hope, for circumstances to improve. But that's backward. Your life doesn't change when conditions change. It changes when you decide you're no longer available for the old pattern. Here's the truth. The year doesn't define you unless you let it. The calendar has no power. It's just pages flipping. What gives it meaning is the story you attach to it. And if you're not careful, you'll let 12 difficult months convince you that you are someone who falls short, someone who doesn't finish, someone who almost gets there. That's a lie, and it only becomes real if you accept it. Ending strong doesn't require a miracle. It requires a moment of clarity where you say, enough excuses, enough waiting, enough negotiating with the part of me that wants comfort over growth. That moment doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but it must be absolute. Most people make wishes. Winners make decisions. A wish says, I hope next year is better. A decision says, this year ends differently because I say so. And once a decision is made at the identity level, once you decide who you are and what you stand for, your behavior starts lining up fast. Think about it. There have been moments in your L, Ife, where you decided something and everything changed instantly. Not because the world shifted, but because you did. You raised your standards. You stopped tolerating what you had been tolerating. And suddenly, you had leverage over your own life again. That's what this moment is about. You don't need perfect clarity to decide. You don't need to know exactly how it's all going to work out. You just need to decide that you are not going to coast, not going to drift, not going to emotionally check out just because the year didn't go your way. You decide that the story of this year will not end in resignation, but in strength. Because here's what people don't talk about: how you finish shapes how you start. If you end the year defeated, you carry that identity forward. If you end it disciplined, focused, and self-respecting, you don't start from zero, you start from momentum. The decision is simple, but it's not easy. It's the decision to show up fully for the rest of the year, even when no one is watching. Especially then, it's the decision to act like the person you want to become before the results prove it. That's how identity is built, through action, not intention. And let me be clear, deciding doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means being honest without being weak. It means saying, this was hard, I fell short, I didn't hit the targets I wanted. And then saying, and that's not the end of me. Some of you need to decide that you are no longer going to measure yourself by what didn't happen. You're going to measure yourself by how you respond now. Are you someone who collapses under disappointment, or someone who consolidates power? When you decide, your brain starts looking for evidence to support that identity. You decide you're someone who finishes strong, and suddenly you notice opportunities you ignored before. You feel a different level of you. RGNC, your body moves differently, your standards rise. That's not luck, that's alignment. Don't underestimate the power of a single decision made late in the year. History isn't shaped by how things start. It's shaped by how they turn. And many of the strongest chapters begin after the worst moments, not before them. Right now, you get to decide what this year means. You can let it mean, I tried. Or you can let it mean, I learned, I adapted, and I refused to quit. One story drains you. The other one fuels you. Make the decision that the rest of this year matters. Make the decision that your effort doesn't depend on applause. Make the decision that you will finish with integrity, discipline, and self-respect, because the person you become in the process is the real win. And once that decision is made, everything else becomes a strategy, not a debate. Decide, and the rest of the year will rise to meet you. Let's go deeper now, because even after you decide to end this year strong, there's one thing that can still sabotage everything if you don't confront it. The story you keep telling yourself. Not the facts, not what actually happened, the story. Because the story is what shapes how you feel, how you act, and ultimately how you finish. Most people don't fail because of events. They fail because of interpretation. Two people can go through the exact same year, same setbacks, same losses, same disappointments, and one of them comes out stronger while the other comes out defeated. The difference isn't luck, it's language, it's meaning, it's the story running in their head on repeat. Right now, whether you realize it or not, you're narrating your life to yourself every morning, every night. And if that narration sounds like this year proved I'm behind, or I always mess things up, or I'm running out of time, then no matter how strong your intentions are, your energy is leaking before you even start. Here's what you need to understand. Your brain believes the words you consistently feed it. It doesn't argue with you, it obeys you. So if you keep saying, I'm stuck, your mind starts looking for proof. If you say, I failed again, your body responds with hesitation and doubt. But if you change the story, you change the chemistry. And when chemistry changes, behavior follows. Let me be very clear. Changing your story does not mean lying to yourself. It means telling the truth without destroying your future. It means separating facts from fiction. The fact might be, I didn't hit my goals this year. The fiction is, that means I can't be trusted to succeed. One is data, the other is poison. Most people don't realize how violent they are with their own language. They speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they love. They don't just describe what happened, they condemn themselves with it. And then they wonder why motivation disappears. You don't need more time. You don't need more confidence. You need a new narrative, because the story you tell yourself determines what you attempt next. If your story is, I'm always starting over, you'll hesitate to go all in. If your story is, this year trained me, you'll move forward with intelligence instead of fear. Here's a powerful shift. Stop saying this year was a failure and start saying this year exposed what no longer works. That one change moves you from victim to architect. Suddenly, you're not behind, you're informed. Your past does not speak for you unless you give it the microphone. And some of you have been letting one bad chapter narrate your entire book. That's not honesty, that's laziness. You're bigger than your worst moments. Think about this. Every time you repeat an old story, you relive the emotion attached to it. Your nervousness. M doesn't know the difference between memory and reality. So if you keep replaying disappointment, your body stays in survival mode. But when you rewrite the meaning, you free yourself emotionally. And emotional freedom is where momentum lives. You want to end this year strong? Then you must interrupt the story in real time. When the voice says, it's too late, you answer, it's too late to quit. When it says, I should be further, you say, I'm exactly where I need to be to rise. This isn't positive thinking, this is deliberate conditioning. High performers don't wait for their inner dialogue to be kind, they train it. You see, the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of questions you ask yourself. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? Ask, what is this trying to prepare me for? Instead of, what if I fail again? Ask, what if I finish differently this time? Those questions don't drain you, they direct you. And here's the key. The story must match the identity you are choosing now, not the identity you're leaving behind. If you've decided to end strong, your language must reflect strength. Your words must align with discipline, growth, and self-respect. Otherwise, you're trying to move forward while talking backward. Don't underestimate how fast your life can change when your internal dialogue shifts. One new story, repeated with conviction, can rewire years of hesitation. You don't need to erase the past, you need to reclaim it. Turn it into evidence of resilience, not weakness. So tonight and tomorrow and every day that follows, listen to how you talk to yourself, because the story you allow is the future you create. Change the story and the ending changes with it. Let's bring this home now, because once you've changed the meaning of failure, once you've made a real decision, and once you've interrupted the old stove, right in your head, there's only one thing left that separates people who finish strong from people who fade out, and that's focus. Not someday focus, not next year focus. I'm talking about right now focus. The last stretch focus. Most people look at the end of the year and think it's too late. They see the calendar and feel discouraged instead of activated. But the truth is, you don't need a perfect year. You need a powerful finish. The final stretch matters more than most people realize, because momentum is created at the end, not the beginning. Think about it. No one remembers how a race starts. They remember how it finishes. And the same is true for your year. You don't need to win the whole year. You need to win the days you have left. The last 90 days, sometimes even the last 30, can reshape your identity faster than the previous 9 months combined. Why? Because when time feels short, focus sharpens. Excuses lose their power. Clarity rises. You stop asking, how do I feel? And start asking, what must be done? Ending strong isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things consistently. It's about creating non-negotiables, small actions that you do whether you're tired or not, whether you're motivated or not, because discipline beats motivation every single time. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 90 days with focus. You don't need massive change. You need daily standards. You need to stack small wins until confidence comes back online. And here's what happens when you do that. You begin to trust yourself again, not because the results are perfect, but because your behavior is aligned. Self-trust is built when you keep promises to yourself. That's how momentum is born. You don't wait for energy to act. You act and energy follows. Action creates emotion. Motion creates motivation, and you win one day, you're more likely to win the next. That's the snowball effect most people never experience because they quit too early. Let me tell you something important. Finishing strong is less about intensity and more about consistency. It's not about heroic effort once in a while. It's about showing up every day with standards that don't change based on mood. If you commit to the final stretch, something powerful happens psychologically. You stop seeing yourself as someone who almost finishes. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. And that identity shift carries more power than any external reward. This isn't about proving anything to anyone else. This is about proving something to yourself. That you can lock in when it counts, that you don't disappear when things get hard, that you don't coast just because the year didn't go as planned. The finish line isn't about the outcome. It's about who you become on the way there. And the person you become in the last stretch sets the tone for everything that follows. So don't ask how much time is left. Ask how strong you're willing to finish. Because when you win the final stretch, you don't just end the year differently. You begin the next one unstoppable. Let's talk about pain. Because whether you admit it or not, pain has been one of the loudest voices in your life this year. Disappointment, frustration, regret, the sting of falling short. And most people don't fail because they experience pain. They fail because they don't know what to do with it. Pain is neutral, it's information. But if you don't give it a direction, it will turn on you. It will become an excuse. It will become a story. It will become a reason to slow down, to pull back, to play small. And that's where people lose momentum. Not because life was hard, but because pain was wasted. You were never meant to be comfortable, L the time. Growth has always required friction. Strength has always been forged under pressure. The question isn't why you're in pain. The question is what you're using it for. Some people use pain to justify quitting. Others use it to sharpen their discipline. Same pain, different outcome. Think about this year for a moment. The moments that hurt the most, the missed opportunity, the failure, the rejection, the delay, those moments revealed something powerful. They showed you what matters. You don't hurt over things you don't care about. Pain points directly to values, and values, when honored, create drive. But most people do the opposite. They numb the pain, distract themselves, lower their standards so they don't have to feel disappointed again. And in doing that, they trade short-term relief for long-term regret. Pain demands a purpose. When you give pain a job, it stops draining you and starts driving you. Discipline is simply pain with direction. That's all it is. It's choosing the pain of effort over the pain of regret. It's saying, this feeling will not be wasted. It's converting emotion into motion. Right now, if you feel frustrated with yourself, good. That frustration is energy. If you feel disappointed, good. That disappointment is a signal that you expect more from yourself. The danger isn't feeling these emotions. The danger is letting them sit idle. Use them. Use the pain to wake up earlier. Use the pain to cut distractions. Use the pain to stop negotiating with weakness. Use the pain to raise your standards back to where they belong. Because here's what most people don't realize. Pain fades when action begins. Action gives pain an outlet. Action transforms emotion into progress. If you don't act, pain turns inward. It becomes self-doubt. It becomes shame. It becomes hesitation. But when you act, even imperfectly, pain turns outward. It becomes intensity, focus, drive. And no, this isn't about punishing yourself. This is about respecting yourself. There's a difference. Punishment comes from hate. Discipline comes from self-respect. You don't push because you're broken. You push because you believe you're capable of more. Some of you are carrying pain from earlier in the year, and you're letting it slow you down right now. That's backwards. That pain should be making you faster, sharper, more decisive. If it's not, it's because it hasn't been given a mission. Let me say this clearly, pain is temporary, but the strength you build from using it is permanent. Every strong person you admire learned how to convert pain into fuel. They didn't wait to feel better. They moved while it hurt. They didn't need perfect conditions. They needed a reason, and pain gave them one. If this year bruised your ego, good. Ego needed less control. If it humbled you, good. Humility creates learning. If it frustrated you, good. Frustration is a signal that you're ready to change. Don't waste that. The pain you feel right now can either be the excuse you hide behind or the fire that carries you through the finish line. The choice is always yours. Use it. And when you do, you won't just finish the year. You'll forge a version of yourself that no setback can stop. Now let's talk about who you become by the time this year ends. because that's the real finish line. Not numbers, not titles, not applause, identity. The person you walk into the next year as will matter more than anything you accomplished or didn't accomplish on paper. Most people think success is about outcomes. It's not. Outcomes come and go. Identity stays. And if you end this year as the same person who started it, same habits, same standards, same excuses, then even a win won't save you. But if you end this year stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more self-aware, then even the losses become assets. Right now, you have a rare opportunity. The end of a year creates reflection. Reflection creates awareness. And awareness gives you the power to choose consciously who you are becoming, not who you hope to be someday, but who you are proving yourself to be right now. Too many people let the year end accidentally. They drift into the finish line, they collapse emotionally, they check out mentally, and then they wonder why the next year feels heavy before it even starts. That's not bad luck, that's identity debt. You don't want to carry that forward. You want to end this year with self-respect, with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you didn't quit on yourself. That when it got uncomfortable, you leaned in. When it got discouraging, you stayed present. When no one was clapping, you still showed up. Pride doesn't come from perfection. It comes from integrity, from alignment between who you say you are and how you actually live. Ask yourself this, not emotionally, honestly. If someone watched how you lived the final stretch of this year, who would they say you are becoming? Someone who fades when it's hard, or someone who tightens their focus and rises? This isn't about being harsh with yourself. It's about being real. And reality, when faced with courage, is empowering. You don't need to reinvent your entire life to end strong. You need to reinforce the identity you want to carry forward. Identity is built through repetition, through small, consistent behaviors that send a message to your nervous system. This is who I am now. When you work out even, when you don't feel like it, you're not just exercising, you're becoming disciplined. When you speak honestly instead of avoiding discomfort, you're not just communicating, you're becoming courageous. When you follow through on a commitment no one else knows about, you're not just completing a task, you're becoming trustworthy to yourself, and that version of you, that person starts next year miles ahead. Ending the year strong means you don't let fatigue decide for you, you don't let disappointment lower your standards, you don't let the past dictate the future, you decide deliberately who you are, and then you act in alignment with that decision. Here's the key distinction most people miss. Confidence is not something you feel before action. It's something you earn through action. Every time you do what you said you would do, confidence deposits are made. Every time you break a promise to yourself, confidence withdrawals happen. The end of the year is your chance to rebalance that account. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need evidence. Evidence that you are the kind of person who finishes what they start, who honors commitments, who doesn't disappear when things don't go perfectly. That evidence becomes your foundation. And when you walk into the next year with that foundation, you don't need hype. You don't need motivation speed. Etches. You don't need to convince yourself. You already know who you are. Some of you are waiting for January to change. Don't do that. January doesn't change people. Decisions do, actions do, identity does, and identity is built now in the quiet days when no one is watching. End this year proud, not because everything worked, but because you did. Because you didn't let the year win, you didn't let failure define you, you didn't let pain harden, you didn't let excuses lower your standards. You finished as the person you respect and win. And when you do that, next year doesn't stand a chance.